right, if we call a meeting to order, if we can all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States.
Need a motion to approve the agenda.
Moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that passes. A motion to approve the Board of Education meeting minutes for May 17, 2018.
Moved.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that's approved. And we also have a motion to approve the Board of Education meeting minutes for May 23rd, 2018.
Moved.
Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. That passes. And Dr. Kinder abstains. Okay. We are to Patron Comments, and we do have a comment tonight. I'd like to ask Casey McKee from Character Plus to come forward, and she's going to say a few words. Welcome.
Good evening. For those I haven't had a privilege of meeting yet, my name is Casey McKee, and I'm honored to serve as Executive Director of Character Plus. As many of you know, the Rockwood School District is a powerhouse when it comes to character education, and 16 of your schools actually hold a National School of Character designation along with your district. And so nationwide, only 83 schools and 5 districts currently hold that designation. So I just wanted to come out tonight to celebrate and highlight the 3 schools that have received that recognition this year. And first off, Chesterfield Elementary, they have made history. They are the first and the only school to receive this designation, National School of Character, 3 times, thus holding the designation of 10 consecutive years as a National School of Character. And then LaSalle Springs Middle School, renewed for another 5 years. And then we're so excited for Baldwin Elementary, who received a National School of Character designation for the first time this year. And since it's their first time, just wanted to do a couple of highlights on areas of excellence that we really saw, and obviously the evaluators did too. The communications with their stakeholders was by far better than a lot of the other applications that were out there. And a lot of that is due to Dr. Rodney Lewis and his team doing the hashtag This is Baldwin, and I'm sure you all know all about that. But for the benefit of those here tonight, what they did is Dr. Lewis just filled the internet with positivity by sharing daily snippets of the learning, leading, caring, and growing going on at Baldwin. And of course, as you can imagine, this enhances morale at the school, but also for the community. And there's a bulletin board in front of the building where students or parents not as technically adept can go ahead and post some things as well. And then when it comes to the teachers, because again, character is all about all the stakeholders, they spoke openly and honestly about how they felt valued and play an active role in making sure that core values are integrated into the class, in the hallway, and on the playground, and that it really expanded just from a word of a month into the curriculum, and they were very excited about that. Parents talked about the culture and how it's developing the growth of leaders, thinkers, community-minded children, and students talked about how caring the staff was and what made them feel comfortable to speak up, to try something new, and to help others. So Character Plus is very proud to have partnered with you all for 26 years in this endeavor. And your ongoing dedication to and passion for character, social, emotional learning, it really is making a difference in the world. So thank you for your commitment to this work. It's not easy, but of course we've all seen how it's worthwhile because it all starts with an idea. And that's why I wanted to pass along in celebration of your continued efforts one of our favorite books, What Do You Do With an Idea, in hopes that it will encourage and inspire the manifestation of another and more amazing ideas. So we appreciate your work. Thanks for letting me come tonight, and have a great night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You can come back anytime.
I like hearing those good things. Thanks. All right, we'll lead right into that with the Superintendent Board comments. Dr. Knost.
Yes, and while Casey's still here, just want to send a shout out to your leadership with Character Plus. I've been affiliated with Character Plus for many years, and have seen that as the chair for Ed Plus this year. Obviously, have seen the work of Character Plus under Casey's leadership up close, if you will, and there's been a real transformation, I think, in the whole organization, and I think that begins with leadership. So thank you for that, and I think, for example, you being here tonight to come and say this of your own volition and not anything we requested. So thank you for that, and thanks for your leadership. Okay, a few things to share with you. Happy summer.
Yes. Those have been on it.
Right. I want to mention the Adventure Club Summer Link started in Rockwood School District on Monday. The program is administered by Parkway Rockwood Community Education. Students at Blevins Elementary began by getting a tour of each room they will be spending time in over the summer. And those spaces include the gymnasium, computer room, cafeteria, playground, and a space for crafts and activities. And field trips include Onondaga Cave. We just met a few young people a little earlier before the board meeting who are getting ready for that trip to Onondaga Cave, which was scheduled, or I guess it was scheduled for today. Was that today or is it tomorrow? It is tomorrow, I see. So we're excited about that. And nearly 250 Rockwood administrators and teachers participated in the 4th annual Engaging All Students Summer Conference at Rockwood Summit High School this year. That was on May 30th and 31st. And the conference was facilitated by the Professional Learning Department. And this year's conference featured comments from me. I was honored to speak to the group one day, and then the educator and author George Kuros, who brought the house down, was absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't seen George, try to see him because he's very inspiring, and he really fits. I put a tweet out with a picture of me and George, and I said, it's kind of great when you say a bunch of stuff, then a guy shows up from Canada and validates everything that you say. And that's really what I felt with him here. He said a lot of what I like to say, only a lot better. So it was very good having him. Our Rockwood Facilities Department employees gathered for a day of in-service training and collaboration on Friday, June the 1st. Facilities Director Chris Friend said that employees are reminded of their roles on the front lines of student safety. He quoted, "Even though we're not teachers or administrators, we do have a role to play regarding student safety. We have a unique perspective. Our grounds people see every acre of this school district on a weekly basis. The thing we emphasize with our staff is find what's unique about your perspective and use that to help keep students and staff safe. If you see something that doesn't look right, be sure to say something." I had the honor to talk with the group too, and we talked about school safety, and I just was really impressed with how receptive to the conversation they were, and I think that they really accept that challenge that Chris gives them and explains to them that they're the eyes and ears. And you know, it's always been, and I mean, in my entire 30-year career, it was always the joke that if you want to know what's going on, go ask facilities folks, because their ears are always to the ground and they know. But that's really relevant in this day and age of being concerned about school safety. And so I just was really pleased how they're always a receptive group. I always enjoy talking with them, but they were just really accepting of the conversation about their role in school safety. So that was exciting. And we've been doing a lot of this lately, but it's been our custom in my years as superintendent to make sure that we make public announcements when our board hires administrators in closed session just before the meeting. So we did exactly that tonight, and with two different individuals, and I want to announce both of them. First, I want to talk about our coordinator of Rockwood Early Childhood Special Education, Mr. David Harrod, who currently serves as the Director of Special Services for Wright City School District, and prior to that, he was the Assistant Director of Student Services for Orchard Farm School District. In addition, he served as the Process Coordinator for the Wentzville School District. Mr. Harrod earned his master's degree in Education Administration from Lindenwood University. His bachelor's degrees in Education and Business Administration are from Missouri Baptist University, and he replaces Ms. Charday Rigdon, who is now serving as the district's Student Behavior Team Specialist. So we're honored to have David join us. Very impressive gentleman with the very appropriate background for this role. He could not be here tonight, but let's still give David a round of applause. And next, with the recent promotion of Dr. McCown at Summit High School to head principal, we put out an opening for an interim associate principal with being late in the day, and tonight the board approved Mr. Tommy Pottinger, who has served as the assistant principal at Rockwood Summit since 2010, and prior to that he was the dean of students at Francis Howell North High School. He was a language arts teacher at Francis Howell Central and Wright City High Schools. Mr. Pottinger earned his specialist in educational leadership from Missouri Baptist University. His master's degree is educational administration from Lindenwood University. We've got 2 Lindenwoods that we brought on tonight. I'll mention, I'm doing a keynote there tomorrow. I'll mention that. I'll mention we're supporting them. Sorry, Dr. Kinder. And his bachelor's degree in English and secondary education is from the University of Pittsburgh. He replaces Dr. McCown, who was recently named principal of Rockwood Summit. Tommy is here. Tommy, welcome. Congratulations. Let's give him a round. We are excited. We, of course, because of our doings, we have Renee coming into a new position, and that's always challenging, but we're excited for that, and we're really excited for how the team is shaping up at Summit. We think we're in for good things. So, and that's all I have.
All right. Any board comments?
I have 2. Congratulations to Eureka Soccer. They won 3rd place this year. Just a penalty kick away maybe from a state championship. Big congratulations to Rockwood Summit's lacrosse team. They won 1st place with a 1-0 victory in the championship game.
And?
What did I say?
Yeah, you said lacrosse.
I meant soccer.
You meant soccer.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I was willing to accept lacrosse and just add soccer.
I believe they got 2nd in lacrosse, didn't they?
I don't know.
State lacrosse, too.
Current lacrosse stores. You tell them.
Oh, yeah. I am talking about boys. Oh, yeah, he's talking about girls. Okay, whatever.
I'd like to say that I had the opportunity to attend the MSBA Leadership Conference down at Lake of the Ozarks, and on behalf of Rockwood School District, accept our OBOE Award for Physical Environmental Resources. So it was very much an honor. We were in good company. It was very exciting. So I want to turn this over to Laura Lee for the.
We ever won that before? I don't think so. That's the first time.
Board worked on this.
I mean, that timing was hard for a lot of us, so thank you for being there to represent us. That was a big deal.
Pleasure. Perhaps we can hang this, Kathy, over Alex. Do you have a hammer and nail? We can hang that?
That's right.
Any other board comments? All right, so moving right along, we need a motion to approve the consent agenda items as submitted.
Moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye,
Right?
and that passes. Next, we have agenda item 8.01, legal services. So if we recall, we put we had a couple presentations a few weeks ago for 2 law firms, and
I would like to move that we approve Lashley Bear as our legal counsel for the Rockwood School District effective July 1st, 18 through June 30th of 23.
motion and a second. Do we have discussion?
Yeah, I think this was for me anyway, was a fairly easy decision. Larry and Lisa have been doing a great job for us since before I got on the board, which was 7 years ago. They know the district inside and out. Their fee structure was competitive, and on evenings like tonight, they're here not charging the district. So for me anyway, this was an easy one.
Looking at both organizations that had put in submitted bids, the thing about your company was that it was the why you were doing it, and it was about being part of Rockwood, and not just doing it because it was a company, but doing it because it was being part of our association and our community. So that was a good decision.
Congratulations.
All said?
No, we haven't done it yet.
Probably ought to
No.
vote on
Voted
it.
yet.
Haven't voted? I would echo what
It
both
was
of
just a test.
If only we had
Yeah.
legal counsel to keep us straight.
No, I would echo what both of you said, because I think that's spot on. You guys have done a really nice job, so we're pleased to continue on. So the motion is to approve Lashley and Bear as legal counsel for the Rockwood School District. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that passes. Thanks.
Now, congratulations.
Now,
Thank you for your service.
all right, next we're going to call Dr. Lisa Counts. She's all ready. Here she comes. Beautiful dress. That is. I mean, that's gorgeous. And she's going to talk to us about our strategic plan presentation.
Right, good evening.
Good evening.
I am excited to talk with you this evening about our upcoming strategic plan revisions. I've been struggling with saying strategic plan, so forgive me. I don't know why that's not rolling off my tongue very well. So tonight this is just kind of that broad brush overview. Not much work has happened yet. And I'm saying that in a good way because the work is really a collaborative effort and we'll need lots of voices and gathering information and looking at past information to help us move forward to really solidify a strong strategic plan to take us through the year 2025. So this is designed tonight to give you just an overview of how we see this work progressing and moving along, and then how we plan to communicate that and present that to our community. So first you'll notice that, let me just back up real quickly. So you'll notice that we have some taglines here that we felt really spoke to our work: imagine, innovate, and inspire. And we feel like we're in such a good place in Rockwood right now that we continue to do well on tests, on standardized tests, and we continue to do well academically, but we know that we're in a place that that's not the core foundation of everything we do. That certainly that's important, but as we all know, Dr. Cano speaks often about we're not just looking for the standardized test score. We're not just looking for a number. We're really looking at how do we take students to that next level, regardless of where they are academically, socially, emotionally, all those things. So we really felt like those words kind of spoke to us and the work that we're already doing, and how do we kind of take that to the next level. So you'll see throughout this presentation that those words will kind of outline some of the phases of our work as the sections of our development of this strategic plan. Something else I wanted to point out, and you'll notice in your presentation when I pulled this up on the slides, the terms CSIP and strategic plan you'll see from time to time in there. And we're really trying to, we know CSIP is our accountability system. We need to do that to be accountable to the state of Missouri. But we also want to design our strategic plan that's a much more visionary, foundational process for us. It's not just about meeting the requirements for DESE, but really meeting the requirements of our learners, really meeting the requirements of our community. And that goes way beyond just a comprehensive school improvement plan. So you'll see some of that CSIP language in there, but we're really trying to shift that to, this really is strategic for Rockwood School District, and it's going to be specialized for who our learners are, who our educators are, and who our community members are. Okay, so we're getting started. As I said, those three categories: imagine, innovate, and inspire. So we're really just using those words as our key foundation to help us design and implement our strategic plan. So we'll start with imagine. So we really want to build on the things that are already working very well in our school district, and we have a lot of those things in place. So what we really want to do is we want to solidify our vision and make sure that we have an opportunity to really clearly outline our core values to help make sure that this strategic plan is embedded in everything we do. And we think we already do that, but anytime you have the opportunity to revise a plan that's going to guide the work of an entire district, it's a really great opportunity to find avenues that this really becomes a living, breathing, working document that speaks to our core values. And I think those core values will be really important to define our work as we move forward. So next, in the next part I want to talk about is just really how we prepare for the work of revising a strategic plan. And so these are things that you have seen before that are kind of the typical background work that you do to get ready for strategic planning. So we'll look at our data in the district. We'll look at past practices. We'll get voices from internally and externally. So this is really just kind of setting the foundation. And we've already started doing some of this, but this will carry us through the rest of this summer. And then you'll see as we gear up for our back to school time, we'll really start getting those community voices and our internal stakeholder voices. So we're first just kind of setting the foundation to make sure that we have all the information we need to take us to the next step. So then we start by looking back. I mentioned that, and this is where we just have to look at where we've been. What are the things we already have in place? And you can see we have a litany of things where we're really good at keeping documentation, and we're really good at setting goals and measuring our progress. So that's going to help us so much as we start to move forward to look at where we've been and what are those plans tell us that we've been very successful in, and maybe there are some areas that need additional support, resources, or change our area of focus. So we'll look at all those various things we already have in place in our district to help us determine, are those still part of our focus? Have we mastered those things and we can move on? Or are these ongoing things that are always going to need our continual review? So we'll take a look back at the things we've done up to this point. And then that takes us to moving forward. And then we want to really start engaging our communities, our internal and our external communities. And we'll start that this fall, probably around that September, October time. We'll have a kickoff meeting. We're still in kind of the planning phases of that. I've started soliciting Dr. Cano's feedback on what his vision of that would be. But we really want an opportunity to engage our community, but we also want to engage them in a way that's valuable. We're not coming to our community for an ask. We're really coming to them as, help us understand what's most valuable to you when you send your student to a Rockwood school, and where do you want to see us by the year 2025. So we really want to engage people in an authentic manner. So we will begin that process this fall. Of course.
Innovation thing, is that something that is like now a Rockwood thing? I mean, are you thinking about putting that somewhere that we see it all the time? Because that's really cool.
It is cool, and I think that's a clip that we borrowed from somewhere. Right. Yes. Good point. That's
As our
true.
attorneys sit in the back
We
of the
do
room.
not. Yes, I'm sorry. You did not hear that, Lisa and Larry.
Oh, I just think it looks cool. That's
Thanks,
all I'm
Laura Lee.
saying. There's a lot of good stuff there. I
Right,
didn't know if that
right.
was whatever. Carry
Yeah.
on.
Moving on.
No, so I agree. So a lot of this that you will see in the presentation, Laura Lee, is kind of how we see this work in a very visual manner. And you'll notice there are several places in this presentation where there's so much interconnectedness between the work we're doing. And to me, that's where I see us moving from a comprehensive school improvement plan to a visionary strategic plan, in that all of those pieces, technology, new ideas, research, current practices, vision, all of those things really are interconnected, and it's almost impossible to single them out by themselves. So as we draft these goals and strategies and monitoring processes, there's going to be a lot of connectedness, and I think that's what a lot of these clips are showing. Sure. So next we're talking about the innovate section, and this is where we start really pulling ideas in to help us write a strategic plan that fits our needs moving forward through 2025. So the first item on that slide talks about thought exchange, and you're going to learn a lot more about this next time, June 21st. I have another update for you on that, and we'll be asking you to consider approving our participation with this vendor. So thought exchange is actually it's considered a social survey, and so it's different than your traditional survey that we've done. We've done many of them, you know, in our district where we survey our community. And there's several differences about this, but one of the things that I think will be really valuable to us as we try to get as many community voices as possible is that ongoing dialogue piece that surrounds thought exchange. And so I won't go into a lot of detail now because we're going to show you a model of it next board meeting, and we'll walk you through the nuances of that. But we're excited about considering that for gaining our community voice because it's structured in a way that participants can they can interact with it as much or as little as they would like. Think about for any of you that are on Facebook or even Twitter where you have that opportunity to have an ongoing dialogue. So we would be able to post questions for people to respond to, but then people would also be able to rate others' responses. And so then we would have a more diverse we would have more diverse feedback, and we would also be able to see it would be a deeper exchange because we would see certain responses might get a higher rating. Well, we could see maybe that's an area that we really need to focus on because people find that very valuable, or people might comment back and forth, and so we can see that exchange as well. So we'll talk more about that on June 21st, but that is a potential opportunity for us to engage our community. And again, it's a more innovative, maybe newer concept on just a traditional survey of, you know, sending out 15, 20 questions and people respond. This really would be pared down to maybe 3, 4, 5 questions, and there would be some ongoing dialogue within our community, and therefore our feedback would be very rich, and we would have a lot of opportunity to learn maybe some more of the nuances of the values and goals of our community. So that's and then we will continue with our existing community engagement opportunities, and we have lots of those in our district, and I've just listed a handful of those. But as you know, we have lots of opportunities that we ask for community voice, so we will continue with that, and we will ask all of our various constituent groups to weigh in on priorities and goals for the strategic plan. And then we also will have some more some more focus groups particular to organizations in our community. And we're excited to see if there are some other, you know, I've listed kind of the ones that we traditionally see as organized groups of participants in our community, but there may be other opportunities. We're excited to see if there are other community partners that really could weigh in on some of our core values. You know, we're certainly looking for any parts of our community that maybe we haven't reached yet. So we're hoping through all these venues we'll be able to get a very rich discourse going around our core values and vision.
Lisa,
Yes, sir.
you include in that somewhere, or possibly think about it, would be transfer students and
Our VIC students and families. That's a great suggestion. And I know some of our individual schools have really started to have some more focus groups in that area, but I think that's a great point to add there. Thank you.
It probably, as Lisa mentioned too, you're going to get more of a closer view on. Did you lose the?
Done.
But I think that's what's really neat about the thought exchange that you're going to hear about next, because it's going to allow a farther reach in engaging people instead of, you know, versus the traditional ask our principals to bring out X number of people on a big night where they all roll their sleeves up and they stay committed to it, and some of the people are there half-heartedly, and then other people think, well, I couldn't be there, so I'm not even involved, and then some people just tell you, I don't want to be involved because I don't want to show up at those meetings. So it's got the ability to be much more far-reaching, and I think that's for me, one of the highlights is that our city resident students and their families can participate very much.
Okay, so continuing with our Innovate section, that's kind of the heading that we've tagged for our research and voice and engagement to really set those goals and values. So we'll continue with a steering committee to look at how we set those broad-based goals. We've brainstormed some tentative goal concepts under student learning, extraordinary people, customized supports, and leadership. And you'll notice those are a little different than the traditional CSIP goals, and that was done purposefully because in our research at looking at, and Kathy has been instrumental in this as well, in just looking at strategic planning across the nation and what are people doing to take school improvement to that next level. And we're seeing this more connectedness and more embedded, even goal teams or goal areas, in that really all of those things function together and none of them are a silo. So we tried to give those goal areas some broader vision. Obviously, student learning is always going to be at the forefront of everything we do, so that one kind of stands true to time. But even the title of extraordinary people, we wondered if there's if the feedback tells us that maybe there's an opportunity to focus on other areas of our community where we can really access resources that maybe we haven't tapped into yet, and maybe there's more opportunity for that community networking piece. We're talking about how do we prepare our students for after high school, how do we prepare kids for jobs that we maybe don't even know exist. And so we wonder if maybe that extraordinary people, by really broadening that it's not just people within our four walls of the school district, but are there people that we need to be engaging with, and maybe that would be part of our work of a goal around that. So that's where that title comes in. Customized supports, those would be things that we would typically think of in the transportation, food service, finance, facilities. But again, there may be other areas that come through here that would fit in that area. And then leadership, we really wanted to broaden that goal statement so that we really are looking at all systems and structures, our processes, but we also wanted to look at that connection to our community. We have leaders in our community, and we really feel like we need to tap into that and utilize that resource in our school district. So we really wanted that leadership component to not just be contained to board governance or administrative leadership, but really leadership in all facets in our district so that we are best serving our students. All right, so next we're talking about the steering committee, so I will be facilitating that. One of the things that I'm really excited about is obviously facilitating this committee, but really looking at who are our graduates and who are our students in Rockwood, and designing our mission, vision, and values around that. So that will be a good portion of our work, is really making sure we have a solid understanding of who are our students. And that goes with having a solid understanding of who are our community members too. So that will be the steering committee's work to align those goals and those values as we move forward in writing the strategic plan. Oops, sorry about that. Hit the wrong button. And then we'll break those out. We'll have goal committees. And again, these are kind of placeholders because, again, the real work hasn't started yet. So we anticipate these would be goal areas, but certainly there could be other goal areas that we learn through our feedback process that maybe we have a strong feeling in another area. So these are kind of placeholders and some things that we know are current areas of focus for us, but certainly they don't necessarily have to encompass just these goals. There could be other things that are added to that too. And then through that, we would have champions for each of those goal committees. Through our cabinet members, we would assign goal committees to various folks who obviously have an area of expertise around that goal. The next slide, I think, is super fun. There's a lot of words on here, and I think that's like, PowerPoint 101 you're not supposed to do. But this one's really fun because it, has lots of cool colors and lines and things like that. I cannot take credit for this. I think is this Carl's work? Yeah. Carl Weinrich did this. He's so awesome. Like, you just throw ideas at him and, like, poof, it turns into this beautiful thing. So the thing I like about this is I really do see this as a roadmap. And this, again, this is a sample. This can be tweaked and added to and changed as much as we want. But I think this would be a really good starting place to share with our community, because for many of us that don't work with improvement goals on a regular basis, it's overwhelming to look at a 40-page document if maybe you only care about a certain segment of it. And so I think this would be a really good way to manage that, and then even manage it in the future. So I love the arrow running through the center, because obviously the work is going to continue. We don't stop after the board approves it. We don't stop after the communication plan launches. It keeps going. And so really those circles and dots could really morph into our measurement tool as well, and an accountability system that we could say, okay, here's our goal statements and here's where we are on each of these. So this can be manipulated a lot of different ways. I'm excited to throw more ideas at Carl and see what he comes up with. Let's see. Okay, so then the next part is really just making sure that we're very strategic in our communication plan. Obviously, we have a fantastic communications department, so they will be instrumental in assisting us with that. But I think the part of this that's really important is that we connect to our community. We've heard their voices. That becomes part of our strategic plan. And then we really have to drill down to our individual building levels. And we really need to make sure that they have a clear understanding of what that mission, vision, and values really is about for their particular school, because it might look very different at Baldwin Elementary than it does at Fairway Elementary, or it might look very different at LaSalle Middle School than it does at Selvage Middle School. So really working with our building leadership teams to help them adjust their school improvement process so that it's directly in line with the district's strategic plan. And I get the good fortune of doing that every day with building principals, and Dave Cobb does that with his principals at the elementary level. And it's a really great opportunity for us to continue that communication loop and continually revise and adjust as we move through the process. And I think that's all I have.
Lisa, how do our patrons access this PowerPoint presentation?
Is it on our website, Kathy?
Tomorrow it's going to be announced. But
Heard that.
Dr. Kinder, I didn't know if were you asking about just the availability of Lisa's presentation tonight, or were you
I was
asking
looking-
about the
just
thought
looking-
exchange?
Looking through it, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'll be on the board
Board folder.
communication. Yeah, tomorrow that goes out, right, Kathy?
Thank you.
So, love the graphic, the timeline, Gantt chart type thing. I like that kind of stuff. I think it's a good communication tool. How can the board help you? What role do you see the board having in this process?
That's a great question. I think that communication piece is really important. You all have a pulse on our community, sometimes way more than we do, because, people reach out to you and constituents in lots of venues. So I think keeping us abreast of that communication and kind of keeping that communication flow happening. And then I think the other piece that would be valuable is from a board perspective, for you to just continue to monitor along with us. And you guys do building visits, and you guys are having conversations with people in our schools and in our community, and letting us know when there's areas that we're hitting and maybe areas that we're not. So I think that would be really important.
And possible committee involvement.
Oh,
as
absolutely.
well,
That
for
goes
board
without being said.
representation. Yeah.
We'll ask for volunteers for sure.
So one thing I think is going to be important for your group to consider and look at, and you alluded to it in your presentation, is really what's the accountability plan? How do you have these goal areas, you have objectives and strategy plan, strategies for those, but how do you report back to the board? At a glance, how would we see how things are going with all these areas, and just to keep things on track? Because you and I both been to you do the plan, you put it on the shelf, take it out, dust it off.
Get it a year later, right?
Yeah. And it's too much work. It's too much time. I mean, it's just your efforts aren't well utilized
Sure.
because it should really be the guiding document for the work that we all do.
Sure. So I failed to mention this. I'm sorry, Lynn. I made some notes as I was working through here, and I forgot to mention this part of it. So I mentioned the ongoing work that we do with individual buildings. So obviously that's one part of that accountability, but you're absolutely right. We have to have that accountability visible for all constituents, our board members, our community members, our internal community. So I've been researching some various dashboard options and some communication tools. And again, as we look at what people are doing across the country, you know, even that simple graphic of the roadmap, you know, there are a lot of those versions that we could do that make it very accessible for people. So I think that part will be a natural for us because we're doing so much of that now already. Again, kudos to our communications department because they're really great about, and I can just think of a few that fall under my purview, but you know, they're reminding us, hey, you know what, we probably need to do an update on X, Y, and Z. And so that will be part of that. And then through those champions, each of us at the cabinet level will oversee a goal area. And so we will make sure that we're updating on individual goals as well, because that progress will happen at different phases, and so there will need to be some kind of systematic way that if your goal group is meeting and there's some updates in October, but the next goal group isn't meeting till January, well, that just might have to look a little different. But if we have a systematic way to make sure that we're accounting for
And
that.
I realize accountability measures are hard to come up with, and you have to be very creative, and I know some districts use a scorecard. I mean, there's like dashboard, different things. And I know that on the current plan that the board, we have a goal that we're responsible for, and I don't feel that we've done a really good job being accountable to that goal. We've probably met the spirit of it, but not a level of accountability where we have reported out on that goal.
Sure. Yeah.
So I appreciate your hard work. This is an awesome job.
Thank you. And
Awesome
you know,
start.
thank you. I appreciate that. And I think that's another area that, as board members, you could help us prepare for and plan for as well. Is how do people want those updates, and what's most usable for folks? Because, like I said, we've all received, you know, long, lengthy documents, and those are just hard to get through. But you know, really, and that thought exchange will also be a great
Sounds
way for us to really monitor the key priorities for folks, and maybe that would guide us on some reporting mechanisms as well.
Thinking of our app too, and I'm not sure, you know, how much it's used, but there could even be its own button on there where you could go through and quickly get an update or link through for something specific. And I don't know how, you know, how utilized that is, but
Good idea.
I wanted to just mention two things, and some of it's relevant to what Lynn just said, because I could not agree more. If you know anything about me, I hate the idea of rules for the sake of making people follow rules, you know, and yes, we have state accountability, and we have to have a CSIP, but to Lisa's point when it opened up, we have to do that, but we're trying to make this something, a visionary piece that works. And I'm happy to say that in all CSIPs that I've been involved in, even our current one, the difference, there are those examples that you mentioned of you create a plan, you put it on the shelf, and it's there in case the state asks for it. But there's also that example where it may be on the shelf, but when you do look at it, it is the things you are doing, and I think we've been really cognizant of that here, and I have in my past roles. This just really is going to allow us to take that a step further. And your governance piece, that's still going to be in there because it does need to align for a state CSIP, and those 5 goal areas are required. So that's got to be in there, a lot of chance. And the final thing I wanted to say, especially with we have some members of the press here tonight, especially after the next meeting when Lisa does the presentation on thought exchange and the board approves and goes forward with that, and it feels a little bit more like the strategic planning piece, a lot of times that sends a little bitty signal out to folks that, I sniff a ballot measure coming. This is all about getting people together, roll up your sleeves, and teaching people what we need them to say. We're going to say this loud and clear. This has nothing to do with a ballot measure. There is no intent for this to lead us to a ballot measure. Is it possible that somewhere in the future, years down the road, that this information could be looked at to be considered for need and such? But the goal of this is not to lead us to a ballot measure. We just can't stress that enough. It's a genuine, heartfelt, passion-driven effort at a visionary exercise.
It's a strategic plan that guides our work. That's
Right.
the name strategic. It's what work we do and how we do it.
And to piggyback off of Dr. Kno's thoughts on that, you know, many of the committees and comprehensive work we've done in the past several years, we've said those kinds of things. You know, there's not an end goal in mind, that we really are engaging people because we really want to know what the priorities are. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that up to this point. You know, we've done high school program design and middle school program review, and we've done lots of committees where it isn't us coming there to convince you that it needs to go this direction, but it's us really listening and utilizing the strengths of the people that we have in those committees. So I think this will be similar to that we'll see some of that rise to the top through thought exchange, through our focus groups, through our various venues where we can really listen to people. And I think that will just naturally rise to the top.
Eric, I agree that the plans that, it's not even a plan, it's the process that is most usable, or it's ones that's very easy for people to wrap their minds around, take with them, embed in their thinking. If I would walk up and say, you know, what are the 5 goals, somebody would be able to tell me. So.
Anything else? Thank you, Dr. Collins.
Thanks.
Good.
Thank you.
All right, next, we need a motion to approve the bond issue purchases and related contracts, $7,500 to $150,000 as submitted.
Move.
Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. So we have 4.
I have 6 facilities related under 150.
Yes. Can I interrupt a second?
Yes, sir.
You know, in the spirit of equity, Chris, that's a very pretty sports
Yes.
coat you have on today. It's just as pretty as Lisa's dress.
I was going to
I want to
say,
make that clear.
Chris, don't go with that. Just say thank you. Just don't roll with it.
Guess you didn't notice I'm missing a button.
Oh, I thought that was a new trend. I did notice it. I thought it was a new trend.
I'll have it fixed up by next meeting.
all right, fire away.
All right, the first item we have that's facilities related is Talbert Industrial Commercial Services. This is for some asbestos tile removal at Ellisville Elementary. We're working with Allison Loy on relocating about 3 different classrooms in that building due to the anticipation of another section this coming school year. We're basically transitioning the existing Adventure Club room into their art room. And there's some asbestos 9x9 tile in there that needs to be remediated.
Do your own asbestos removal?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not is the right answer.
I thought I'd ask.
They're going to do this when students are not present and in a safe manner. There's no danger of any of this being
Absolutely.
into the air, all that kind of good
Yeah,
stuff.
our contractors work with the county for monitoring, and we actually hire a third-party monitoring company to come in as well.
Perfect.
Questions? Next,
This would be technology.
technology. Deb Kettering? Please. And you have a nice jacket on, too.
For Chromebooks to be engraved for the one-to-one program at the high school. We're expanding it to 11th and 12th grade. And so we're taking existing Chromebooks from the middle schools that they will not use because we'll have 7th and 8th grade students and 6th grade students having their own Chromebooks already. So we're moving them to the high schools, and we want the logos etched in to just provide a little more identification that they belong to Rockwood.
I think that's great. It's great that kids who are juniors and seniors, I mean, that's awesome. Or seniors. Any other questions about that? All right. So next we have another facilities.
That's correct. This is for Education Plus Resources, Inc. At Blevins Fairway and Wild Horse, we're doing the innovative spaces in their libraries. That's part of the contracted renovations we have going on this summer. As part of those renovations, there's some book stacks that have been displaced. There's some tables that need to be modified, and some new ones purchased once that footprint changes within those spaces. So this is purchases for each of those 3 locations for book stacks and furniture as part of that project.
Questions on that one? All right.
The next one is for Redexum Turf Products. This is for a Vertidrain. Basically, it is a natural grass aerating machine for the grounds department. This is replacing a machine that's nearly 20 years old and is really outdated. So this is part of bond issue cycle maintenance, equipment, and furniture budget for an aerator.
You know, I'm kind of a grass
You
nut.
are.
Explain to me what this does. 'Cause
Pokes holes in the ground.
so cool.
So technical.
That's it?
That's it. Does it really fast, though. The
I
one
could
we
do
have
all
now,
that
it
for
takes about 5 hours to do a field. This one will do it in about 45 minutes.
Wow.
Is that one per school, or is it just one district-wide?
No, one. We'll transport it from location to location.
Just do that in your high heels.
Any questions on that besides my question? All right. Next.
The next one is basically a combination machine. It's a groomer sweeper that we will utilize on our synthetic turf stadium fields. This is one unit that will also be transported at the 4 locations. We have some grooming equipment now. This is a little more advanced system that will sift the infill, take debris and stuff out of the infill and drop it back in place.
We still use the other 2?
Yes, we do.
How long does that take to do a whole field?
This machine can cover a field in about an hour and a half.
Wow.
Make it safe.
Absolutely. If there's debris that's mixed in with the infill, it'll pull it out, sift it, and separate it.
Self-propelled, or you pull it behind something?
We pull it behind a motorized machine.
Next time you do those things,
Yeah, we need a
please
demonstration.
let us know. I'm serious. You know, I just really love that stuff. All right, one more on facilities, right? Or the next one on facilities, I'm sorry.
The next item is SCI Engineering. It's standard for us on large construction projects to hire an outside engineering firm to do special materials testing on construction products, materials, and processes. Basically, they come in, they test the hardness of your concrete, the mortar of the building. They send that stuff out to labs, and the architects verify that it's meeting the requirements that we have in our specifications.
All they do?
Excuse me?
Is that all they do?
No, they actually do a lot of other services. They do a lot of geotechnical things.
I mean, is that part of that 93,000?
Geotechnical is separate from the building special materials testing.
Okay, any questions, other questions on that one? No? All right. Writing mores.
One for you to
It's
get
like a
excited about.
bonus night.
So William Noby Company, this is for 2 zero-turn mowers. Our grounds department has 4 crews that span the entire district. They each have 2 zero-turn mowers on each crew. This is replacing the 2 oldest mowers in our fleet.
Tell you those are 72, 76 inch.
72-inch cut.
Wow.
These lawnmowers last how many years? How old are the ones you're replacing?
The ones that we have now, I think, have about 2,500 hours on them. They've been in the district probably 10 years, and for a commercial mower, that's pretty significant. I was talking to Dr. Kinder earlier. It's getting to the point now where the maintenance on the existing mowers is really not beneficial anymore. It is time to replace them.
All right. So, am I reading this correctly? Now we're at finance? Huh? Yeah, finance.
Oh, yeah.
Linda?
This item is for replacement tables for the cafeterias at 4 elementary schools and 1 middle school. Last year, we had some needs that were identified by these schools. We were able to replace half of those items last year with the intention of replacing the balance this year, and this is the balance of those tables.
Pretty dress. Very pretty dress, Brenda.
Thank you.
We never to start. questions? All right, so that's,
Should be it.
that should be it. So the motion was to approve the bond issue purchases and related contracts, $7,500 to $150,000 is submitted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. That motion passes.
Better than you.
All right, so now we have two purchases over $150,000. So the first is a motion to approve the bond issue purchases and related contracts over $150,000 from Haddock Education Technologies for interactive flat panels to replace existing smart boards upon failure.
Move.
We have a motion and a second. So Deb Kettering.
Okay. So after an RFI process and an RFP process, we have engaged our staff and engaged them in selecting a new replacement for interactive boards. And the technology is really moving to flat panels. They're less expensive, they last longer, there's not so many components, and we have selected Haddock with the Promethean board. Promethean is a very well-known interactive board, and they are one of the leaders in the flat panel industry for education as well. They offered us a very attractive package that includes an on-site warranty where they will come out and do troubleshooting with us. They have a warehouse in Lake St. Louis, and they will stock parts for us and boards so that we'll have a very quick turnaround if we do have problems and need replacements. So they also will walk through our rooms. They will provide training. So one of the big benefits for us is that they will provide professional development and training on how to use the devices, including the software that comes with it, to our staff as part of the purchases.
Does that mean if one fails between now and 5 years, that cost isn't going to go up, or how's that work?
They will replace it.
Free.
No, they'll replace the device. There is no cost. They'll replace the device. It'll be under warranty.
Okay, but if one fails, it's been here, it's
Oh.
not theirs.
Smart board fails. Yeah.
Smart board fails.
If a smart board fails, you're asking if they'll replace it at that cost. We have a 1-year contract with them right now with the option to extend. Yeah.
If one of theirs fails, they'll replace it
Yes.
with
Yes.
no cost.
Yes.
Do we
This
know
is new
how
technology
that,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Do we know what percent of the smart boards we're looking at replacing with this process?
So we are still only replacing on failure. So
That's the plan for this.
that is the plan for this. We have been spending around $250,000 a year to replace our existing smart boards and projectors. And to be honest, a lot of times it's the projector that goes bad before the board, but we are evaluating each case as it comes up individually and looking to see what the problem is and what makes the most sense for that classroom.
Teachers looked at the processes compared to the smart board, and they're on board with the operation of it.
Yeah, we had very positive feedback when we had teachers and other staff members come in and evaluate all of the boards that were bid for the RFP process. The vendors had to bring the boards in and leave them for 3 days with us. We had staff come in and try them all out, put them through their paces, and they overwhelmingly liked the Promethean board.
I've used Promethean, much easier to operate, actually.
That's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that.
That's why I was asking how the teachers felt about it.
I know the instructional tech teachers were very hesitant at first when we said we were changing from SMART or looking at possibly changing from SMART. And when they came in and demoed all of the boards, they fell in love with the Promethean. They thought it was much simpler to use. They liked the software that it comes with. It will have the ability to connect Chromebooks in the classrooms to it if the teacher desires to do that. So there's a lot of benefits to having it that I think will really help engage our students and allow more collaboration in the classroom.
How many of these do we have in the district?
Smart boards?
Smart boards?
We
or
have,
Promethean?
well, we have interactive whiteboards, basically smart boards, in every classroom, every instructional classroom. So that's about little over 3,000. Yeah, so we have quite a few.
Just gonna say, this is the right technology. This is not a projector where a bulb burns out or the thing goes out, and this is also not a television with a screen over it. This is an interactive touch technology, which should be much hardier than either of the previous versions, so.
It's what
Just saying, yes, you did the right choice.
Yes, that's what we're
Right,
expecting.
Right.
Right, anything else? All right, so the motion is to approve the bond issue purchases for Haddock Education Technologies. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so that passes. And the next one is a motion to approve the bond issue purchases and related contracts over $150,000 from Trinity 3 Technology for purchase of one-to-one Chromebooks to be issued to 6th and 9th graders district-wide.
Move.
A motion and a second.
This is just to continue with our existing plan and to provide new Chromebooks to our rising 6th grade and 9th grade students.
If the 6th graders get it, do they keep it through 8th grade?
They keep it through 8th grade, and the 9th grade students keep them through 12th grade. The 8th grade, when they leave 8th grade, we take those devices and we either are putting them in as loaners or spares, or we're actually, if they're in good condition, moving them to other elementary schools.
Which grades don't we service yet? I mean, after this, will we service all grades?
6 through 12.
6 through 12.
And through that process of taking Chromebooks from the middle schools and moving them down to the elementary schools as those students get through 8th grade, we'll be close to one-to-one this year. Most schools will be very close to that, and by the end of the following school year, we should be have the capability of one-to-one in each classroom.
You say this year or 6 years?
No, at the end of
This
next year.
Next, what I meant, okay.
2018, 2019.
Okay.
Good. So the motion is to approve the bond issue purchases for Trinity 3 Technology. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so if we pull up the proposed agenda for the June 21st meeting. Anybody have any comments? That is the night that we are going to tack on our board work session / retreat, correct?
And notice that the meeting's probably a little heavier than,
Oh,
yeah, it's, some things was hard to keep it really slim, especially going into July, so just want the board to be aware of that in regards to doing retreat items also on that night, either adding to the amount of time like we talked earlier, or doing something with diminishing closed, or doing on a different night, just something to think about.
and the COPE committee is putting things, I mean, you guys are going to be running the show, right? Yep. All right. Why are you all smiling at each other?
We like each other.
It's been working.
All right, any other questions about the agenda?
So maybe just communicate with me in regards to what we want to do about time that night.
Okay.
If we want an early meeting, if we just want to be in for the long haul and just do a late meeting. It just depends on,
Well, I mean, can we decide, do we need to decide that now?
You
Does
can. I mean-
people want to start at an earlier time, or?
do you recall, Matt, the last time we had the discussion about how much time we had?
It was like we started about we'd have to look at it, but I think we started an hour early and we were then back on schedule.
I think we
Took
actually
about an
ended
hour.
up starting on time, on regular time. We had planned it early, but we ended up having a really slim meeting, and so we started on
Oh.
time. But I was trying to remember if it was an hour, hour and a half-ish. That's what I can't remember is how much time, and it could be more, it could be less this time, depending on how much you all want to discuss on any various topic. But and how, if you're not worried about a late meeting, we can just start normal time and see how it goes. And
Janet, are you looking up? I see you.
August 3rd. And we started at 6.
okay.
But we didn't have a closed session.
Oh, that's right. That's what we did. We kept it. Yes, Matt. We made that we made that decision. We'll probably still have some personnel things, but we could keep it. We could keep it short. In
Even by
closed session,
6:30, we're out of
so-
closed session. Is that what we want to do? Just keep it at 6 then, and keep the closed session a little shorter?
That's an idea. Why don't we just plan on we'll make closed session the length. I mean, we can, we'll make sure that our posting is correct in the right amount of time as far as when we post that this meeting starts and when our closed session. But if we can have a nice short closed session, I know we can do a 30-minute session. We can keep it to that, and then we'll come right into open, and we'll have that much extra time.
Now it's at the very.
Yeah, we can
And
put it
because
wherever.
that way. Yeah.
That look good to everyone? Everybody good? All right.
So 6 to 6:30-ish will be closed, and then
6:30 to whenever.
6:30 to, okay.
Okay.
Target right now.
All right. Future agenda presentations and events to attend. I know we all received a appointment for the administrative conference at Lafayette High School in July. And the registration for the MSBA conference opens June 11th.
Which is Monday.
And is it my understanding that we present at that conference?
We will be asked to present
All right, well,
on our
then,
topic.
that's a ways
so-
out, but you better, at
But-
least the three of us, and anybody else who wants to go, obviously, but,
And that September 27th is the tax hearing that night, but the board portion of the MSBA conference starts on that Friday. So just something to keep in mind. But I am going to book on Monday morning at 8, or no one's going to get into that
okay.
Tantera. So anybody who wants to go, let me know. And then
A show of hands now, or do you want to send something?
if you know now, you can
Yeah.
tell me, otherwise I'll
me
email
down.
tomorrow. So, okay.
At least the three of us, somebody else wants to, yeah.
Yeah, just let me know.
All right, anything else?
Yes, I have something else. Todd, you look dapper tonight. But are you presenting, or just getting anything else to go? Anywhere else to go? Okay. Catch you next time then, right? Okay.
All right, anything else? All right, adjourn the meeting.